class. I can't in Namo Tassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. All right. Let us turn to page number 308, please. All right. Now, were we able to go through or read through what we covered earlier during the last week? Yeah. So tell me, where did we struggle? Noeline? You're muted. Still can't hear you, Noeline. Still can't hear you, Noeline. Huh?
Okay, is it okay now?
Yes, yes, we can hear.
The first time I read through it, my head started spinning. After that, I can understand a bit now. But thanks, Bhante.
Okay. when the Buddha realized this, you know, the Buddha started giving out a rainbow-like aura. So your head spinning is all right, you know. All right. So how about the others?
Bhante, can I say something?
Yes.
Bhante, Bhante, the reason why I put page number 303 was because we went through this table of 1, 2, and 3 points, and you said we will start from the beginning.
Yes.
The next.
Yes.
That is the reason why. Okay, I just want to tell you that.
So anyone else, after going through the book? Yes, ma'am.
Bhante, my experience is when I first went through it, it didn't answer any of the question why so many sort of why 71 rooted, why 50 so many great holes. I mean, it doesn't say why. So my Kalyana Mitra Leti sent me a book on Hitupachya, and I went through that and it cleared a lot of doubts. Now I'm clear.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
So I'm a bit clear because Hemamali and I discussed it yesterday. Yesterday.
All right. All right. So, how about Chamari?
Bhante?
Yes.
Yeah, I think like everyone else, I'm just trying to carry on as usual. Yeah, we need to do a lot of reading and researching and checking in and discussing to understand a few of these things. Yeah, very difficult.
All right, let's go through today's lesson and see where we turn up. Yeah. Now, before we go to the front, the first one, Hitupachya, root. We had the conditioned states and the conditioning states. Hitupachya. What is Hitupachya? Hitupachya refers to anything that arises dependent upon hetu. Hetun hinda hatagana yam dharmayak tibeyi නම් ඒ ධර්ම Hitupachya යටතේ නම් වෙනවා. If any Dhamma arises owing to the support or because of hetu, roots, all those Dhammas fall under or come under Hitupachya. Roots give rise to chittas, chetasikas, rupas. Because of hetu, chittas, chetasikas, and certain chittas, chetasikas, and rupas arise. The power of a root, we know there are 6 roots. We know that there are 6 roots: greed, hatred, delusion, non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion. These 6 roots support the arising of other Dhammas. That itself is Hitupachya. Do you understand? Let us take mutuality. Anyamanya Pachya. Number 7. Anyamanya Pachya. If any Dhamma arises according what is Anyamanya Pachya? If any Dhamma arises mutually supported by another Dharma, that is Anyamanya Pachya. Do you understand? If any Dhamma arises owing to the mutual support received by another Dhamma, that law, that process itself is referred to as Anyamanya Pachya. Anyamanya Pachya. Sahajata Pachya. Sahajata Pachya. What is Sahajata Pachya? Sahajata Pachya. Connaissance condition. What is Sahajata Pachya? If any Dhamma arises together with another Dhamma, that is known as Sahajata Pachya. Do you get the idea? Right? We will be going into the Dhammas. All right. Now, root condition. Back to root. When we say root condition, Hitupachya, we are essentially referring to that law, that process which enables a root to support the arising of another Dhamma. Right? Support the arising of another Dhamma. Hetum pratikaragana upadina yam dharmayak tibeyi නම් ඒ සියලු ධර්ම හේතුපච්චය වශයෙන් නම් වෙනවා. හේතුන් ප්‍රතිකරාගෙන යම් ධර්මයක් උපදිනවා නම් ඒ සියලු ධර්ම හේතුපච්චය වශයෙන් නම් වෙනවා. Now, Hitupachya, then this condition, this law, let's take it as a governing law. The law works with a certain tool. What is that tool? The 6 roots. the conditioning states. Working with this tool or affected by this tool arises the conditioned states. The conditioned states. What are those conditioned states? Any Dhamma which is a rooted chitta arises because of roots. Any chitta, I'm sorry, let me reword that. Any chitta that is with a root means that because there is a root, that chitta is able to be what it is. Without a root, that chitta will lose its potency. What are the chittas that we know which do not have roots? The ahetuka chittas. We know by nature the ahetuka chittas. By nature, the ahetuka chittas are weak. They are karmic resultant chittas. They can't do much. They cannot generate further karma. Isn't it? All of these things are true about ahetuka chittas. Why? Why are ahetuka chittas weak? Because they do not have roots. What does it mean to have roots? What it means to have a root is where the chitta can firmly establish itself. Have the strength to create potential for future karmas to arise. Future karma vipakas to arise. To be more clear. So then what are the dhammas that arise dependent upon roots? Greed, hatred, delusion, non-greed, non-hatred, non-delusion. We should take all the chittas with roots. All the chittas with roots and their chetasikas. So 52 chetasikas. Are there any chetasikas which specifically arise only with ahetuka chittas? Are there any chetasikas which specifically arise only with ahetuka chittas? Yes or no?
No, Bhante.
No. Hence, 71 rooted chittas as well as their 52 chittas. I'm sorry, chetasikas. 71 rooted chittas and their 52 chetasikas. Do you understand how we got that?
Yeah.
Do you now understand then to a certain extent what Hitupachya is? Right? Excluding delusion, connaissance with two delusion-rooted chittas. With two delusion-rooted chittas. Why? Because they are already there. In the lobha and the dosa. To avoid repetition, we take away sahajata. Ekai vitara thiyenne delusion connaissance. Sahajata. Moha sahajata pachyapi ayin karanawa. We remove the delusion connaissance. Why? Because when a tanha mula akusala arises or a dosa mula akusala arises, it arises with moha. So if we now take moha again, we are now repeating. Do you understand? That is why we now take the two moha delusion chittas out. Right?
Okay.
With two delusion rooted, right? Yes.
So when I was reading something online,
Okay.
I understood, or actually I was listening to another Bhante's talk. The explanation given there was that the root condition provides firmness and fixity and to the conditioned states.
Yeah.
And with the two delusion-rooted chittas, having only one root, it doesn't actually provide the firmness and fixity. It doesn't have any other root to work with.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is the reason why these two are being excluded.
Yeah. 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 All right. That is also true. That is, so the two reasons is the repetition, and because the delusion alone does not provide, having just delusion, because delusion alone, does it sort of, again, what Chamari said, it doesn't give that sense of strength. But here, Chamari, the reason that is not essentially uses this reason. Because in the potential of chittas, right, eka moola chittas can arise.
Yeah.
The foundation of Hitupachya, is the fact හේතුන් හින්දා හටගන යම් ධර්මයක් තිබෙයි නම් ඒ සියලු ධර්ම හේතුපච්චය යටතේ තමයි හටගන්නේ.
Is that true, Bhante? Because in a way, the definition of the root condition says anything that gives fixity and firmness. So if there is only one root, it's weak, it doesn't have anything to work with. So does it then actually come under the root condition? Yes, it is a root, but does it come under root condition, I wonder? Because you need something to make an impact on, well, I mean, the conditioning state is supposed to have an impact on something. I mean, the one root itself, what is it going to have an impact on? Because these two, if you look at it, they are being excluded, so they can't come under the root condition. They are not coming under the root condition by what the conditioned states are saying.
Interesting. Now, let us go to the definition. Where did you get that definition? Is it in this book?
So it's on page 307, where the guide to verse 14, the root condition, the first line.
Okay. 307. Okay.
307, yeah.
Okay. Root condition is a condition where the conditioning state functions like a root by imparting firmness and fixity to the conditioned states. Imparting firmness and fixity to the conditioned states. The conditioning states in this relation are 6 mental factors known as roots. The 3 unwholesome roots, greed, hatred, and delusion, and the 3 beautiful roots, non-greed, non-hatred, and non-delusion, which may be either wholesome or indeterminate. The conditioned states are the mental states associated with each root and the connascent material phenomena. Connascent material phenomena are those born of karma at the moment of rebirth linking and those born of consciousness during the course of existence. Just as roots of a tree are the basis for the tree's existence, growth and stability. So these roots give rise to conditioned states and make them firm and steady. Okay.
Bhante, now I read in another book that in the Chetisakas, the delusion is a conditioned state in other causes. So just because it's one root, as Chamari raised, it can't hold anything, but there are other causes which gives rise to delusion, which is a conditioned state. I read it in another book. Because there are lots of other conditioning states which give rise to delusion, and delusion becomes a conditioned state in spite of being a single root.
Yeah, but here,
I think Chamari, what the book says is because of the firm and the steadiness that is brought about by what a root is. ඒක හේතුකව හටගන even the life force. Okay. So we will go with what Chamari brought up, right? And I want to just double check that as well. But we will
please, Bhante.
We will go with what Chamari brought up because that is pertinent if it is, it is in the book as well. That is pertinent as well. But the thing is, what I'm thinking is, in the process of rebirth, even though the birth is weak, that birth arises because of that mula, even if the birth is weak. So then,
but not just that. So the greed is always involved. If you're having a rebirth, there's the bhavanikanti is there, right? So that the greed is always there alongside the delusion. So it is not working as one. These two consciousnesses, these two chittas are necessarily having one root.
Okay.
But when you are reborn, you always are reborn because there is greed.
Yeah, of course. Right.
Bhante, other explanation can be, is it possible to have this single root act as a conditioned state as well as conditioned state? So, if energy is involved with the root, you can't have conditioning state and conditioned state, the single cause or single delusion. Delusion cannot be considered as a condition as well as conditioning at the same time. So that's the conflict.
I think we brought this up last week, neither.
Yeah. Because that's logically based on Patthana. It's a relationship we are talking about. It's the energy that creates another Dhamma, right? So how can the energy of delusion create delusion? So you have to consider the energy part also. It's very difficult to convince on the basis of Patthana.
Well,
Patthana,
according to Dhamsiri, according to Hitupachya, we should be able to create another condition depending on the previous condition.
yeah, that's okay. But the energy is coming mainly from the delusion. And that delusion energy causing delusion energy, delusion result. It's very, very difficult to accept that one.
Okay, so then what about the repetition of tanha and dosa?
Then you have tanha and dosa, you have it's not only delusion, there's a hatred in it.
Yeah.
Right? It comes in twos. So
Yeah.
you have energy, additional energy available.
Exactly. Yeah.
In terms of
There's no repetition if we remove it.
yeah.
Bhante, would you be able to double check?
Yes, I will.
Yeah, thanks.
What is the reason behind that there? Because earlier last week I spoke about the repetition and how okay. So for today we are going to go with, of course, we will take the repetition as well as the fact of instability, right? The fact of instability, and go from there. And then next week I will come back to you with after double checking. Okay.
Thank you, Bhante.
Yeah. All right. Then we have, so that is just for this part. All right, everyone, just for this part. Yeah. Yeah. Because, you know, what Dhamsiri said and what the same thing which was sort of said last week, because of this state sahajata here. Okay, let me double check. Right. Rooted chitta. Dhamsiri, did you want to say something?
Yeah, because when it comes to hatred, hatred comes with hatred or greed comes with delusion. So there's a case of sahajata.
There's a case of sahajata.
Yeah. But here you can't have sahajata because it's delusion on its own.
Yeah. Yeah. And the Hetu is also in the Sahajata group. So, okay. No, we'll not go there yet. All right. Ah, okay. Patthana. Now.
Mind-boggling Patthana.
Now. Okay. Now. Rooted chittas. Matter born of rooted chittas. Chittas and matter born of rooted chittas, karma born matter at rooted rebirth. At rooted rebirth. So all the material phenomena associated with these rooted chittas and chaitasika dharmas, all these chittas and chaitasika dhammas, right, as well as karma-born matter at a rooted rebirth, right, at a rooted rebirth. So all of those dhammas, all of those rupas associated with the 71 rooted chittas and the 52 and their 52 chaitasikas, as well as all the material phenomena that arises connected to a rooted rebirth, are called Hitupachya. Right? Are Hitupachya. Is that clear, everyone?
Bhante,
Yes.
material born rooted chittas,
Mm-hmm.
they are the three: body, sex, and the heart base.
Oh, sorry. What are you talking about again? Sorry, again.
We just mentioned about material born rooted chittas.
Material born rooted chittas. Yes.
Are they the first? Are they the first three we get, like the heart base, body, and the sexes?
Well, it can be, but it can also be another variety of chittas, isn't it?
These are the three we get when we, the first three we get, and later on we get the chitta born ones.
So that is then karma born matter rooted rebirth.
Yeah, the first three are the karma born. Yeah.
Yes. The matter born or the rooted chittas can be during the course of life, after rebirth, including after rebirth, any chittas that arise associating the 71 rooted chittas and their 52 chaitasika counterparts are all included within matter born of rooted chittas.
Oh, so not just the first three.
Not just the first three. Not just the first three. So if we are to just simply say matter or rupa, it will be wrong. It has to always be mentioned as matter born of the rooted chittas and matter born of kammaja or kammaja rupa born of a rooted, resulting from a rooted rebirth. Is that clear? Right? Anuma, you wanted an example of what, Anuma? I just saw the chat.
Bhante, I wanted at the beginning when you said about supporting that Anyamanya Pacha, and when you spoke of the conditioning states, and throughout I thought it would be easy for us to understand if you give an example, just
okay.
Wherever you could. Yeah. Thank you, Bhante.
So thank you, Anuma. So I just wanted to elaborate upon the definition, or when we say, for example, Hitupachya, what are we referring to by Hitupachya? What we are referring to is that conditional law, which is essentially that process. Now, for example, when we say Asevanapacha, right? Asevanapacha. Yam kaling hatagatta u yam dharmaya tibenang e dharme ashray kirimeng ඊළඟ ධර්මය හටගන්නවා. Right? Meaning, for example, let us take when we get mad, when we are fuming mad, we can't stop the hate or the dosa all of a sudden, right? We can't. We must wait until we cool down, right? Why is that? Because of Asevanapacha, right? Why? The hate in this chitta is so strong, but this chitta is not going to prolong. This will arise for one chittakkhana and it will pass away, right? This chittakkhana, this chitta which lasts for one chittakkhana, as it passes away, this residue energy affects the other chitta. That chitta too arises and passes away within one chittakkhana, and that energy influences the other up until the energy is weaker and weaker, where now something new can start. Do you understand? That is our Asevanapacha, right? Simply just an example. We will come to our Asevanapacha, but simply just an example to understand when we say Asevanapacha or Anyamanyapacha or Hitupachya or Sahajatapacha, what are we talking about? We are talking about that conditioning law, that condition, really the condition, you know, the condition. And by condition, we are referring to this process which happens. The process in Anyamanya is the fact that dharmas support the existence of other dharmas through mutually supporting them. Right? Through mutually supporting them. Hitupachya, dharmas that arise, the process where a root gives or conditions the arising of other dhammas through the roots is Hitupachya. That's the condition. Root condition. Right? The root condition. Anyamanya mutuality condition. Right? So because we are Sri Lankan, and because Pacha is also a word that is so intimate into our own languages, we could very well misunderstand or take it in a different way, isn't it? Because when we say Pacha, we would take it in the Sinhala way. But it is not so. Maybe we should have to stop ourselves right there. It's simply the condition, right? More than,
Thank you, Bhante.
more than that term, Padanam Karagana. Right? Not that. It's more on the fact of condition.
Thank you, Bhante. It's clear. Thank you, Bhante.
Many more sort of little examples as we move on. Yeah.
Thank you, Bhante.
If we don't erupt into an all-out war. All right. Now, shall we go into object Arammana-pachaya? Arammana-pachaya. How is everyone else doing? Hemamali, Dil? How are we doing?
Yeah, Bhante, I understood. Yes, thank you.
Dil, what about you? I see some. You're muted.
I'm slowly understanding, Bhante. When you explain, I do understand. But I must tell you that I don't spend hours reading again and again. So when you're explaining, I understand. But if I don't read and read, I can't keep it in my memory. But I do what I can. And I'm very happy with the explanations you give. And I really like it when others in the class tell their the difficulties they have, because then you explain more, then I understand more. And that's my learning is like that, listening and seeing before I learn. But wanted to stay and read and master that, because I think I like to learn, I like to understand, I like to listen, and then I like to practice. So that's the way I've got used to it. But the theory alone, to spend a lot of time, and I don't have a lot of time, but I need to know the theory, because I know that that it's very important to know the theory. And that's why I really like Lady Sayadaw. I like that method the best of all, because he is the one person who looked at both, not the Pativedis fact, but also to look at the theory behind it as well. Right? So yeah, I like this method of teaching very much, because I've got plenty of opportunities to practice, and I'm also getting a plenty because when you go to to Dhammajiva's retreat, because he's gone to Viking, and so he looks at the Burmese method and he teaches you, and also the Katakuruna Jnana, he teaches you. Not Katakuruna Jnana. Jnanandhandra, who wrote about the magic of the mind, he also concentrates on this. So I learned that like that. I learned like that, and now if I had to understand, so I love the explanations you give, because they're so clear and you give opportunity to learn. But to sit and then memorize and have it, because then what happens is when you go to meditate, always the theory comes in, and the theory comes in, and that for me is an impediment. So I prefer for you to understand and go into the subconscious, and then practice when, without relating to anything, the whole thing just emerges. I don't know. So it's just the seeing then that time. That's how the progress is. Because trying to do it the other method, because we are scientific, because we are analytical, always the thinking mind comes in front. And as soon as the thinking mind comes in, the slipping into the unconditioned to see the bare attention just goes out of the window. So I come for the Abhidhamma because I need to know, what are the things, and your explanations are so good, and more the class asking questions, and I listen very intently. And if I can understand it, it's fine. But to read again and again and to have it very clearly, like I learn a subject, for me is a deterrent, because when you go to meditate, that's what surfaces, because we are scientific people. And then you don't progress because you're always. So this method is fine for me, Bhante, and you are doing excellently, and the class is helping me. So thank you very much, Bhante.
All right, coming back to object condition. Thank you, dear. Object condition, right? What is object condition, right? What is object condition? Let us quickly turn to page number 315, right? 315. Let us look at the definition and then come back to object condition. Right, object condition here is a condition where a conditioning state as object causes other states because of an object armunak hinda vena dharma hata gannawa. That is arammana pachya, or object condition, to arise taking it as their object. The 6 classes of objects are the conditioning states in this relation. The corresponding chittas and the chetasikas are the conditioned states, right? Conditioned states. Now, okay, coming back. Object, Aramanapachya. The conditioning states for Aramanapachya is, or under Aramanapachya is, 89 chittas, 52 chetasikas, 28 matters, rupas, nibbana, and concepts. Nibbana and concepts. Right? Nibbana and concepts. Why? Because all of these parts are taken or take objects. Because of these, the conditioned states that arise, having taken an object, what arises? 89 chittas and 52 chetasikas. Right? Why not rupas? Rupas arise. Rupas arise conditioned by mind after the mind has arisen conditioned by the object. Do you understand? First the mind arises. ඒ හටගන මනස පදනම් කරාගෙන පස්සේ රූප ධර්ම හටගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒත් ඒ අරමුණ පදනම් කරාගෙන හටගන්නේ පළවෙනිම මනෝධර්ම. Hence, what we do, I'm sorry, are there English speaking? No, there are. So what is it? Why is it that rupas are not there? Because rupas can arise subsequently, dependent upon the mind that takes the object. But the mind, or what directly interacts or is conditioned by the object, is the mind that arises. Do you understand? Hence, we only take the Manodhamma, which is the 89 chittas and then 52 chetasikas. Is that clear? Everyone? Is that clear? right? Now we see, example, we see a sight which arouses trihetuka, three-rooted kusala chitta in our minds. The object we see, for example, let us say something which is a person doing a beautiful act of performing a beautiful act of kindness. We see that act, and dependent upon what we just witnessed, the mind is what takes the object, isn't it? The mind is what takes the object. Subsequently, that mind can give rise to rupas, but the object doesn't give rise to rupas. Do you understand? The object does not give rise to rupas. Arammana, by the meaning, vachane parasamapatti arthemma, arammana kiyala kiyane arumunak vashen ganima. If it is taken as an object, that is arammana. It can only be taken as an object. What can take objects? Mind. That is why only 89 chittas and 52 chaistikas. Yeah? Okay. Is that clear, everyone? Any questions? All right. 3. Predominance. Predominance condition. Predominance condition is Adipatipachya. Adipatipachya can arise, which is predominance condition. Adipatipachya happens in 2 ways. Arumuning adipati vena deyai saha ekata uppati labana kriyaven adipati veema. Hence we have to arammanadipati, arammanadipati and sajatadipati or sahajata adipati. Right? Is that clear? Object predominance and connaissance predominance. Now, coming back. Object, arammanadipati. Let us look for the definition. Where does anyone know the page? Predominance condition.
And it's page 316,
Yes.
guide to verse 19.
Ah, yes, 19. Thank you, Chamani. Right. Now, we'll read from here. Therein, the predominance condition is twofold. The object to which weight is attached is a condition for states of mind by way of object predominance. Again, the object to which weight is attached is a condition for states of mind by way of object predominance. Right? The fourfold connascent predominance is a condition for connascent mind and matter by way of connascence. We'll come to that one. Again, the fourfold connascence predominance is a condition for connascence mind and matter by way of connascence. What is that? Now, guide to 19, right? Predominance condition. Of the two types of this condition, object predominance, 1, aramanadipati, is a condition where the conditioning state as object, dominates over the mental states which take it as their object. Which take it as their object. Only those objects which are esteemed, cherished, or strongly desired can become the conditioning states in this relation. Right? Esteemed, cherished, strongly desired. Strongly desired are the only things which can become the conditioning state in this relation. In this relation. This condition is virtually identical with the object decisive support condition, differing from it only slightly in the conditioning forces. While the latter has the force of being a strongly efficacious cause for the arising of the chitta and the chetasikas, the former has the force of strongly attracting and dominating those states. Right? We'll come to that later on. Right? Now, what does this mean? Aramanadipati. Aramanadipati is where the object dominates the mind. Right? Simply put, the object dominates the mind. Such kind of, or what kind of objects can perform this function of dominance? Only objects which are esteemed, cherished, or strongly desired. Remember last week I told you, I directed your attention to the 6 kinds of arammana. Right? The 6 kinds of arammana. There are arammanas where, owing to our liking and desire, we specifically look at that. Let's take a box of truffle chocolates. There is a certain chocolate, let us say, out of most of the truffles would probably be dark chocolate or, milk chocolate. And out of the dark or milk mix, right, you have some which might be, let's say, white chocolate. The white would always stand out, isn't it? And maybe you would like the white, right? So probably because of the desire, probably because you like the white, or maybe just because of the fact that everything else looks the same, but this white specifically just stands out, you remember the white chocolate truffle in greater detail than you do the other milk chocolates, which are all brown in color or dark chocolate color, isn't it? Right? Now there, you see the dominance of the image of white chocolate in comparison to the position and place of the other chocolates which are there, which might be of the same color. Let us say, now that is one way, that is esteem, that is cherished or strongly desired, right? Cherished or strongly desired. Then in other ways, objects themselves can be of certain esteem, right? Now let us say, for example, let's say that you go to, maybe this is a bad example. Okay. Let's say you are in the midst of a gathering, right? You are in the midst of a gathering, and let's say that this gathering is a spiritual one, a Sangha gathering, with, of course, the devotees and all of that, right? One of these people in the audience is a very famous person, right? A very famous person. Let us say it is a very well-known politician or a member of parliament or a big actress or an actor or something like that, right? So whilst the gathering, the main gathering might be esteemed on its own, this one person who might be different would be or take predominance over the rest, right? So it can happen then in two ways. Owing to the liking that we have, or owing to the esteemed nature of that object itself. Object itself, where it is similarly like the box of truffles, one truffle was different from the rest. In that gathering, one person was specifically more popular, famous, and well known than the rest. Do you understand? That is Arammana Adhipati. The condition, object, I'm sorry, not Arammana. Adhipati Pachya, but Arammana Adhipati. Adhipati Pachya, but through Arammana. The weight of that object. Is that clear, everyone? Is that clear? Anyone who would like me to repeat myself or have a question of some sort? Anoma? Yeah?
Very clear, Bhante. Thank you very much.
Right. Then we have Sahajata Adhipati. Then we have Sahajata Adhipati. Connaissance, predominance is a condition where a conditioning state dominates conditioned states, connascent with itself, which arises with itself, right? Which arises with itself. The conditioning states in this relation are the four predominants. In this state are the four predominants. Desire, energy, consciousness, and investigation. Desire, energy, consciousness, and investigation. Only one of these can take on the role of predominance condition on a given occasion, and then only in the Javana Chittas with 2 or 3 roots. The connascent mental and material phenomena are the conditioned the states. Conditioned states, right? Do you understand? Chanda, Virya, Chitta, Vimansa. Chanda, Chitta, Virya, Vimansa arises together, right? Arises together. Although it rises together in the motion of a certain action, physical, verbal, or mental, one Dhamma takes predominance. One Dhamma takes predominance, right? Now, takes predominance. When we say, for example, Bodhisattva, the Bodhisattva during his last lifetime, so Prince Siddhartha, in his attainment of Buddhahood, at that or during that lifetime, because of the power of his paramis, when he meditated and the meditation came to fruition, he would have probably had, he had Chanda, Chitta, Virya, Vimansa, right? However, one of these Dhammas takes predominance within the consciousness to lead the person. That is why we say Buddhas could attain enlightenment by the predominance of wisdom, by the predominance of virya, by the predominance of determination, isn't it? Remember? Right? But does it mean, do we even dare think that these bodhisattvas, that these seasoned bodhisattvas do not have the other? No, it's not so. It's the fact that one of these elements takes predominance. Right? Now let us say when we conduct ourselves, or let's say when we are, let's say we are at a spiritual occasion, right? And something happens which is out of the ordinary when it comes to the gathering which it was supposed to be, right? A problem arises. To this problem, we think about how we are going to sort of, or practically sort of deal with this now, because we are in this occasion and we've come for something, but now something out of the ordinary happens, right? Let us say that it is a dana, and then one person, acts in a very unusual manner, which is a bit disturbing, right? Now, how would we sort of deal with it? Let us imagine that we have Dhamma knowledge, that we have practice, that we have effort, we have all of these positions, aids of sorts to deal with this situation. But the person, on how he chooses to deal with it, wholly depends on that person. Whether he's going to use wisdom to try to break through the situation, or whether whether the person is going to use virya to remove themselves from the situation, whether the person is going to use consciousness in order to maintain one's mind without that distraction or the distraction that has come about. Do you understand? Not everyone deals with that disturbance the same manner. Right? Whilst a person might have desire, energy, consciousness, and investigation, the person, one of these factors becomes predominant. Simply that. One of them becomes predominant. Right? When we are meditating, a certain disturbance comes up, a certain thought arises, a distracting thought. How am I going to deal with it? Sometimes we choose virya. By the power of virya, I push away the distraction and bring myself to the object. Sometimes I choose vimansa, which is understanding that distracting thought itself is impermanent, it is empty, it is devoid of anything to cling on to. Hence, because of that vimansa, I bring myself back, isn't it? Right? Then I might choose consciousness. What is consciousness? Consciousness means I now give more energy into, or rather just simply bring my mind back to the original consciousness, which was the consciousness which took the breath as the object. Right? Or I might now sort of be using desire, the desire to stay true to the meditation at hand and ruled by that desire, bring myself. Now you see, it's also a little bit difficult to sort of break it apart, you see. Right? It's only by that first kind of instigator that we kind of understand, okay, what route did I take? Because if we continue sort of explaining or trying to sort of look at that mental process, if it was led by desire, you find that energy, consciousness, and vimansa also come in somehow. If it was vimansa, you find that desire, energy, and consciousness also come in somehow. But it is the predominant factor was one. Do you understand? Is that clear, everyone? Yeah? Only one of these can take on the role of predominance condition on a given occasion, and then only in Javana Chittas with 2 or 3 roots only in Javana Chittas with 2 or 3 roots. Now, this is playing to the fact of Javana Chittas with 2 or 3 roots. That means the Dhamma is strong with 2 or 3 roots, remember. Right? The Dhammas which arose together is substantial in its force. Right? Is substantial in its force because it should be substantial. It should be substantial. Right? How else could it have predominance? The connascent mental and material phenomena are the conditioned states, right? Are the conditioned states. Now, connascence condition 20.
Bhante, can I ask a question, please?
Yes, of course, Noeline. Yes.
In here it says one of the 3 predominant factors, desire, energy, and wisdom, and consciousness is not there. The reason, is it because these first 3 are Chetasikas and consciousness is a Chitta and it's shown down?
You don't have consciousness on your book?
No, in here it doesn't say consciousness, it only says 3. One of the 3 predominances factors, desire, energy, and wisdom. So why did they pick only 3?
Okay, where are you reading?
Consciousness. Is it because consciousness is Chitta and the other 3 are Chetasikas? Is that the reason?
Are we looking at the same page? Or are you looking at the
just
graph?
now we did that, Bhante. Under objects, not under predominance, not under objects, the second one.
Okay.
Bhante, it is on the table. It's on the table.
I'm looking at the
8.3.
table, Bhante. You just
Okay. Shall we come to the table after the definition, please? Yeah.
Yeah, the under predominance, the second one.
Yeah.
One of the 3 predominant factors.
Yeah, we'll come to the table. Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll come to the table. Let's just go through the definition first, right?
Yeah.
All right. The connascent condition is threefold. Consciousness, mental factors are a condition for another, for one another. Consciousness and mental factors are a condition for one another. For one another. And for connascent material phenomena, the 4 great essentials mutually, and for the derived material phenomena, the hard base and the resultant, the hard base and the resultant mental aggregates for another at the moment of rebirth, the heart base and the resultant mental aggregates for one another at the moment of rebirth linking, right? At the moment of rebirth linking. Guide to verse 20. Connascence condition is a condition where the conditioning state on arising causes the conditioned states to arise simultaneously with itself. This is compared to a flame of a lamp which on arising causes the light, color, and heat to arise along with it. This condition may be divided into 3 types, as it is done in the above text, or it may be more finely divided into 5 types. 1, each mental state. Chitta or Chetasika. 4, the associated mental states, for the associated mental states, chitta or chetasika, for the associated mental states. 2. Each mental state for the connascent material phenomena. Each mental state, Chamari, do you want to say something? Oh, okay.
Sorry.
That's fine. Right. Each mental state for the connascent material phenomena. 3. Each of the 4 great essentials for the other 3 great essentials. Right? Each of the 4 great essentials, Pathavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo, for the other 3 great essentials. Each of the 4 great essentials for derived material phenomena. And 5. At the moment of rebirth linking, the heart base for resultant mental states, and the latter in turn for the heart base, and the latter in turn for the heart base. Do you get it? Right. Okay. Now,
Okay, the last one, during Patisandi, as soon as you have the Patisandi Vijnana, immediately you have the heart base. So it is considered as a quiescent condition. That's what in the number 5 says. Is it? That's what the number 5 says.
Damsri, could you repeat please again? I'm sorry.
At the moment of rebirth linking, you actually, with the Patisandi Vijnana, immediately heart base Rupa will be appeared. Immediately. It's a quiescent condition because it comes together. Because in order to have a mind or consciousness, you have to have a heart base, right? So because heart base and the Patisandi Vijnana should come together. So that's what the number 5 says.
Yes, which is the first part. It is talking about those eka numbers which arises owing to the process of rebirth linking, which is the heart base and the resultant mental states following that.
Yeah, okay.
And the in turn for the heart base, right? At the moment of rebirth linking, the heart base for the resultant mental states, and the latter in turn for the heart base. Dharma padanam karagana ආපහු යම් ධර්මයක් හටගන්නවා නම් හටගන්නේ හදේවතයෝ පදනම් කරාගෙන. Right? Because at that moment, Damsri, remember, I mean, you know, as whatever that dharma would arise, it would arise because we don't have the prasada rupas.
Yes.
Right? It can only arise taking as base the heart base at that time.
Bhante?
Yes, Chamari.
So the latter there means the resultant mental states that would be after the rebirth linking, it would be the bhavanga. So the bhavanga, in turn, relies on the heart base.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. The bhavanga, and also even after the bhavanga, because all the way up until a certain stage of maturity, which again, Lady Sayadaw says the reason why we forget why why humans forget their previous lives is because the process of maturity is far more longer for humans in comparison to devas, to ghouls and yakas and pretas and kumbhandas and brahmas and all of that kind, because they are all upapathika beings, right? For a long time, up until the prasada rupas are truly developed, the consciousness is basing itself truly upon a different amount of factors than we were usually used to, which was taking of the objects. Here it was more, now it's more of a bhavanga process, a more of karma resultant rather than anything else. So it is referring to the bhavanga and all the other sort of what follows afterwards, when we have no other sort of real base to cultivate those consciousnesses. Yeah. But let us not go there today. Yeah. Now, if we, do we do this? Okay, one, let's do it. Each mental state, chitta or chetasika, for the associated mental states. What is that? Each mental state. Now, what are we talking about? We are talking about connaissance, right? We're talking about connaissance. The nature where together with a certain Dhamma arises another Dhamma, where it arises together. Now, the first, each mental state, chitta or chetasika, for the associated mental states. Ekupada, ekalambana. Isn't it? Remember chapter 1, everyone? Ekupada arises together. Ekalambana takes the same object. Ekud nirodha also disappears together. Right? Chittas and chetasikas. That is what it is referring to. Understood, everyone? Because why? Sahajata. Ekata upatti. Ekata upanne dharma. E dharma deka. Right? It is sahajata for the next one. If we take chetasika, the sahajata is chitta. If we take chitta, the sahajata is chetasika. Do you understand? Everyone? Is it clear? Anyone who doesn't get it? E1, right? This condition may be divided into 3 types, as is done in the above text, or it may be more finely divided into 5 types. 1, each mental state. We have 2 mental states, chitta or chetasika, for the associated mental states. For chitta, it's chetasika. For chetasika, it's chitta. Is that clear? Right? Second one. All right. Second one. Each mental state for the connascent, each mental state for the connascent material phenomena. For the connascent material phenomena. Now, what is that? Right? The rupas, each mental state for the cognizant material phenomena, the rupas that arise together with a set of mental phenomena, whether it be chitta or cetasika, the rupas that arise parallel to its arising. Parallel to its arising. Right? Parallel to its arising. Damsiri.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bhante, would these be the Chittaja Rupa then?
The Chitta the Rupas.
Yeah?
Right? The Chitta the Rupas. Yes.
Okay.
The
Thank
Chitta the Rupas. Right? The Chitta the Rupas, we can take the Chitta the Rupas. Yes, the Chitta the Rupas. And what else can we take here? What are the rupas that arise? Hold on. What are the chittas that arise? Hold on. What is an example that we could use here? For example, karma vipaka. Karma vipaka, when that specific karma vipaka, no, that's a complicated example. No. What is another example?
Bhante.
Bhante, when you consider the chitta viti, the first come the chitta, and then rupa comes. Then you have 17 stages of chittakshana of rupa. So that's also rupa appears in parallel with the chitta viti.
Yeah.
In 17 stages. That is also a quiescent condition. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is quiescence. Yeah. Chamari?
Yes, Bhante, I was thinking if you're really happy, then it is creating rupa. If you're really angry, then there are rupa that is, changing. I mean, you can see on the face or, in the body, either the fist is clenched or, when you're really happy. And so that accordingly, the rupas arise. And they are happening at the same time. So the chitta and rupa arising together, sahat in the connaissance condition way.
Chamari, for that one, because what do you, yes, Damsari.
Is it Vinyati Rupa you are talking about actually?
Are you asking me or Chamari?
Yeah, I'm asking Chamari. Is it the Vinyati Rupa you are talking about, like Kaya Vinyati?
No, Bapa. It's, if I'm so, say I'm really happy, I've heard some news and I'm really happy. And as I'm hearing that, the rupas arise in the body associated with that chitta and the cetasika. And same with whatever. Yeah.
The only thing, Chamari, I'm thinking about is now, when we take an object, whether the moment of taking the object and the result happening within the physicality, when we take the chittaviti process, whether we can use the word at the same time.
it may last for 16 more chittakkana, but it arises at the same time. Can arise at the same time. Maybe I'm getting
Now,
nice.
for example, what about if we think about, we see a person that we are very happy to see. Let's say we see a mother after a long time, or a father, or let's say a child, right? A very wholesome sort of person that we would like to see. And we know in the Chitta-Viti process, it takes between 5 to 8 Viti processes for us to truly engage with who this person is. And now after 8 processes of Chitta-Viti, now we have recognized a person, and now we start sort of evaluating upon, or the processes for the emotions start arising with regards to that person. Right. Now, at the end of those processes, so what is the moment of seeing, and what is the moment of experiencing the happiness derived from that person?
It would be one of those, I'm thinking it would be one of those Chitta-Vitis, when you're actually having, so if it takes 7, let's say, for example, 7 or 8 Chitta-Vitis to recognize, it might be at that 7th or 8th Chitta-Viti that this happens. I was just thinking of the examples that were given for this by other people.
Yeah.
Not under connaissance condition, but I've heard where if you're angry, the facial changes, that's to do with rupa.
Yeah, which is true. Now, sutras, we can take that example. I'm just a little bit cautious that we can take that example in Abhidhamma because of the detail that we are working with. Can I?
So maybe that's another one you can check for us, Bhante.
Exactly. I think so.
Thank you.
Because that is another one that I will check. Yeah.
Thank you.
And see what is the best way to sort of explain that. Now, if we just come into connaissance condition on the chart, we have one of the 3 predominant factors: desire, energy, or wisdom. Of course, connaissant with the 52 predominant javanas, right? So the javanas that arises with 2 or 3 roots, right? 52 in number. Chittas associated with those 52 javanas. Chittas associated with those 52 javanas, right? Okay, let's just go up for a bit. What is this page? 308, everyone. Okay. Number 3, 2. One of the 3 predominant factors, desire, energy, and wisdom, right? Connaissant with 52 predominant javanas, right? Because all the javanas associated with 2 roots or 3 roots. And those chittas associated, chittas of those 52 javanas, a javana valing hatagana siyulu chittaya, right? Now, the result is 52 predominant javanas resulting, okay, 51 chaitasikas excluding doubt, other than predominant, the reason for the exclusion of doubt is because of the fact of the lack of stability. And these arise with stability, desire, energy, and wisdom, right? Other than the predominant factor, material born of predominant chitta. Material, so chitta, the rupas born, chitta, the desire, chanda, virya, vimansa, chitta, the rupas. Chanda, virya, vimansa, chitta, the rupas. Other than predominant factor, other than predominant, excluding 51, other than predominant, material born of predominant chitta, material born of predominant chitta. ඒ චිත්තයන්ත එක හටගන්න රූප ධර්ම. What චිත්ත? ඒ චිත්තයන්ත එක හටගන්න රූප ධර්ම. Okay. What do you think? Dhamsiri? You're muted.
Material born of predominant chitta is chittaja rupa that's caused by the predominant three chaitasikas. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other one is yeah, the doubt is Bhante mainly because doubt is produced by delusion only. Chaitasika doubt always only comes in delusion. So when we exclude doubt, so when you exclude delusion, you have to exclude doubt. So that's why doubt is out. The other than yeah.
Then, okay.
Then it's 20 chaitasikas and the
yeah,
material born of
predominant chittas.
predominant Chanda, Virya, and Panya.
And Prajna.
Actually, the what is the other one? They use different word. Yeah, wisdom. Yeah. We use the word Vimansa in the detailed discussion, but it's the wisdom, and that's why it's mentioned here, wisdom also. The energy
Okay.
and
okay. Dhamsiri,
yeah.
Here, Chamari, when we said, I think here, this is because we take, because of the dependence or because Sahajata Pachaya, karmas, kruti, karmas arise through the Javana Chittas, right? Karmas arise through the Javana Chittas. So take away the sort of the mystical or rather sort of karma vipaka aspect of karma. Karma is action. Actions arise because of the Javana Chitta. We have in the Sahajata Pacha, we have 2 or 3 rooted or which are rather substantial Javana Chittas with certain power enacting that process. Because we take the 52 javanas with 2 or 3 roots. It is through the javana chittas that the materials arise.
Yeah.
It is through the javana. So then, whilst that whole process with the 7 or 8 that I mentioned, so the result of that or the materials that arise from that essential process comes through the javanas itself. So Sahajata Pacha here, the Sahajata is taking the javanas as the middle point of it, or the middle point of its arising. Sahajata. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So again, if I might explain myself again, so my question with what Chamari mentioned was, okay, but for some action to be taken, the object should be understood, right? Even for us to be happy about this person who is coming towards us or the person that I'm seeing, first I must be able to really see the person. And we know that we don't see the person just with one chittaviti. Right? It takes, for the Buddha, it would take 5 chittavitis. For a normal mundane human being, it would take 7 to 8 chittavitis. Right? 7 to 8 chittavitis to truly recognize a person. Right? Now then, Sahajata Pacha is the essence which speaks of Dhammas which arise together and gains predominance. Right? So forget about the predominance part. Sorry. forget about the predominance part. If we just take arises together, sahajata, then the question comes, okay, what arose? When did it arise? Because it has to arise together, right? It has to arise. So then when Chamari mentioned what she did, in my mind, I was like, okay, but does a rupa arise before truly knowing an object, right? Before truly knowing an object. But the thing is, it doesn't really matter. Why? Because the rupas arise as a result of javanas. Right? For example, let us say a javana arose instigating movement. The movement affects the malleability that arises later on, or the balance or change of the Mahabhuta, Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayu. That change of Mahabhuta would be instigated through Chitta, the Rupas, during the process of Javana.
Yeah, and that's why you can move.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is why the Javana process is where you develop the energy to do all of the things that we wanted to. Right? So then Sahajata, here Sahajata then sort of is fair to say it doesn't matter when the thing or when the whole act is done. The thing is the act is built on different times and data that is developed at that specific time. Because at the end, the rupas that arise owing to the Javana process. And why we don't take weaker javanas below that sort of 2 or 3 is because weaker javanas do not create that motion of sahajat. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Does that not make sense?
It makes a bit of sense, Bhante. I think I will just, we will have to read again and
yeah,
contemplate.
Again, I will explain again now, right? One of the 3 predominant factors, connaissance, right? We've not done object, but we'll come to object next week, but here connaissance, right? One of the 3 predominant factors, desire, energy, wisdom. Desire, energy, wisdom. Connaissant with 52 predominant javanas, right? 52 predominant javanas. Sahajata with 52 predominant javanas. Chittas of those 52 javanas. The result of which is 52 predominant javanas, their respective 51 chetasikas, excluding doubt. Other than predominant factors, material born of predominant chitta, right? Now the question is here, we don't speak about ekupada rupa dhamma, isn't it? We don't speak about like ekupada. We know that chitta and chetasika rises together, but we don't really talk about ekupada rupa dhamma, right? So here what we are then talking about, or what we are now here referring to, is what is the moment rupa arises. What is the moment rupa arises? During a process of chitta viti, mona velaweda rupa dharmayak hataganne. Rupa dharmayak hataganne javana mote. Right? Because javana, the 7 javanas, that is the time where karma is created, isn't it? That is the time, it is during the 7 javanas that karma is created. Karma, then karma kila kiwama, karma vipaka gana hitanna honda naha. Karma kiyanne yam kisi kriyaවක්. Energy wise or whatever it is, yeah, some sort of energy is produced during the moment of javana. This energy, right? This energy is what then instigates us to do whatever it is that we do. Are we mad? Are we lustful? Are we, what is it that we choose to do? Am I to walk forward? Am I to walk backwards? Am I to look up or down? Am I to eat? All of those stuff is determined through the energy produced at the moment of jhana. So the rupa dharmas which arise, arise because of a certain consciousness. Here, what is a certain consciousness? The chittas associated with the 52 predominant jhavanas, meaning the jhavanas that arise based on desire, energy, and wisdom with 2 or 3 roots supporting that jhana, right? So all the rupas that arise would arise at the moment of jhana. Hence, sahajat. Hence, sahajat. No? Is that a yes, sir?
I think it is a yes for now, Bhante. Yeah.
It is yes for now. A yes for now, no for later.
Only to be, read and understood again. But I think it is good so far. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, we will circle back next week. Yeah. We will circle back. Yes, Damsari.
Yeah, Bhante, I have written a small note.
Okay.
It says in 52 chittas,
Yeah.
for example, if Chanda becomes leading Dhamma, then Chanda serve as a Adhipatipachya, right? Adhipatipachya Dhamma to all other chaitasikas and chittas of these 52 chittas.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that means it actually coming and creating the similar because of the, well said, because Chanda or Virya or Panya, it one at a time, right, becomes the leading Dhamma, then that will create chittas and chaitasikas of a similar category.
Or similar categories.
Yeah, because it's almost like one-to-one relation, right? Chittas and chaitasikas, yeah. It says in my notes actually.
Chittas and chaitasikas.
Yeah.
Yeah. It will, because it will take control of the whole mind.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
It will take control of the whole mind, and with the jhavanas, it will also create action or lead to action determined by those predominant factors that have now taken predominance over the mind.
That's right. Yes.
Okay. Shall we circle back next week then?
Yes.
Yeah, just we'll go through it. We'll go through it again and try to get our heads around. No, but I think it's super interesting, isn't it? All right, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.
Everyone, Bhante.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Tomorrow
Bhante.
for meditation. Take care and good.